gentlemen, and welcome back to the brand new and improved Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Yep. And
Again.
John is back again this week. You were so good last week that it was like great. We're going to keep this new format for a little bit because we did a little bit of a poll, and it seems like there's quite a few people out there who like the long-form podcast, but there were also quite a few people who said, like, I like the long-form podcast, but if you need a shorter podcast, great. And I can't say how much easier it is for us to do a shorter podcast than it used to be, because some of those motherfuckers were marathons, man.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Damn, son. So I'm going to just basically say, hey, you know what? I'm spending a lot of time trying to put like quality intros and outros, and I'm going to say that right now I need the time that we're taking off of the podcast to do that. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, you know, if the numbers all drop and you guys all fucking hate it and nobody wants to listen to it anymore, then I don't know. Maybe we'll go back to the big marathon.
How dare they?
I don't know. So anyway, that happened. And you know what? Given that we're doing the shorter podcast and that we've got...
Let's get into it.
We're just going to jump right into it. Yeah.
I'm ready.
None of this. All right, folks. So I've got some carefully curated stories here, some exciting stuff, some rage-inducing stuff, so all the kind of stuff in the middle. But the primary story, and one of the things that I know that you saw because I found out about this by being on your Facebook feed, is that this week Kotaku ran a story that really just solidified my existing idea that GameStop is run by a bunch of fucking pirates and assholes and like puppy killing dog rapists.
Now I do want to clarify. We're not talking about the employees that work inside your GameStop.
Absolutely not.
We are talking about the people in their head offices that dictate their policies and procedures.
Sure we are. And why, you may ask? Well, it appears that there were some emails that were forwarded. Kotaku got kind of a line on this thing called the Circle of Life. What a fucking... How are you going to ruin the Circle of Life, GameStop?
So
Come on.
Do you want to know what the Circle of Life actually is? Or do you know what it is?
It's when the buffalo dies.
Well, no. For GameStop, what it actually is in reference to.
No, I know, but why don't you tell the people at home?
So you buy a game new.
Yep.
That's where the circle starts.
Yep.
Then you play the game. Then you get tired of it.
Circles
then you trade it in.
Yeah.
And then you use that money to buy another used game.
Yes.
Thus, or maybe even buy a new game.
Yep. So
or pre-order something.
Basically, the three pillars are buying new games, trading in old games, and buying used games.
And pre-ordering games.
Yeah. There's a bunch of different stuff in there. But, okay, so why is this a problem? Well, it's a problem because apparently the fucking morons who run GameStop and again, we're talking about upper-tier CEO types, have decided to start, like... What's the best way to explain
Gotta hit
this?
your quotas.
Yeah, is it there's like a quota?
Metrics.
There's a metric for... So let's say you work at GameStop, is that you are now expected, like ideally what they would like you to do is take the 4 tenets of pre-orders, buying used games, buying back games from people, and selling new games, and your income in the company is supposed to be divided equally between those different things. Now... I think that when you first mention that, it doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world. You're just like, oh, yeah, that sounds fine. Except that what you have to remember, and this is from this story, is that, okay, so like the week before last, Resident Evil 7, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, Tales of Berseria, and what was the other one?
It was a pretty big one. I can't think of what it was.
God damn it, that I played with.
Yakuza.
Yakuza 0, all came out. So like, let's say let's do an actual thing. So last week, or week before last, I walked into my local GameStop and was like, I would like to buy 4 brand new games from you, please. That'll be $240. Thank you very much. So then I walk out. Now, unfortunately, the poor fucking person who just happened to be working at the exact moment when I walked in there is now fucked. Because the thing is that $240 worth of new games now must be balanced out by used game sales, pre-orders, and whatnot.
Or even trade-ins.
And trade-ins, yes. But it must be because they want the people to be equally doing all 4 of these items. It means that if there's a week where a bunch of new games come out that everybody wants to buy, and you go in and buy new games, that they then have to make up the difference between that by selling more used games, selling more, doing more pre-orders, and what have you. And apparently, from this email, you get in trouble Like,
and in some cases, fired.
Yeah, GameStop is like, well, we technically we just want people to hit 75% of that. If you've ever worked in like a really metrics-driven industry, which I have,
I do currently.
yeah, like you will know that what happens is you're working your retail job, and some asshole like me comes in and buys $200 worth of brand new video games, and then I leave, and like I just said, you're like, fuck. I have to now push like more of this stuff. And there's actually been reports that sometimes people have gone in. Well, what the example in this article is that Watch Dogs 2 is $25 new and like $44 used. Figure that one out.
So
whatever.
Employees would lie and say they're sold out of new copies.
Yep.
But if you wanted to get it used, here it is for the.
Yes.
Like maybe they have 2 copies of the new copy of the new game, but they don't want to sell the new game because that's going to mess up their metrics more. So they want to sell the used copy, which is actually somehow more expensive.
Who knows what the fuck that's all about?
I mean, it's
and this even goes for systems.
Yeah,
because if you sell a brand new PS4 for $400 or whatever they are, $350, or you sell a used one for $300, like if you need to make up the difference between your bullshit, then you're going to be. It would be better for you if you were just like, well, we don't have any new ones right now, but I got this used one, and it's a little bit cheaper, and it's just fine. Basically, this is just some horse shit, and I've seen this happen over and over and over again, where a company gets into their mind that they can regulate their sales dynamics via metrics. And the problem with this is that we live in a world full of people that don't run like fucking numbers. And so if there's nothing to pre-order, if you're a person who hasn't pre-ordered anything, I feel bad. Like, I actually want to go to my GameStop because I know the people that work at my GameStop, and I want to sell them some of the things that I've gotten for Rage Select that I know I'm never going to play again, just so I can be like, go in and be like, hey, man, what numbers do you need?
Yeah.
But I shouldn't have to be fucking doing that.
No, and you're right. Now, I will say, I don't know if you saw it, but Kotaku did do a follow-up article in which they were contacted by other people who said, are managers of the store going, I know about that policy. I hate that policy, and I've told corporate they can go fucking kiss my ass.
Yeah.
I tell my employees not to do that.
Yeah.
And then there are people that have contacted them and said, yeah, I was fired because of that shit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't follow that shit.
Oh, GameStop put out a statement that was just like, oh, no, it's no big deal.
They sent
blah, 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 blah.
internal email that was sent, and then and then someone forwarded it to Kotaku, and Kotaku verified it with a few other people. But yeah, they sent it internally saying, hey, we saw the article that got out. Don't fuck over your customers. We want to make things great for the customers. Anyways, we know it's not most of you. Have a nice day. Not saying anything about the program.
See, it's one or the other. You're either free to sell what sells, or you're going to be fucking your customers, because there's no way to adhere to this, because if you find yourself in a completely justifiable position where some random quirk of the industry has caused you to sell more new things than used things, then you're in trouble for doing your job, and that's garbage.
And it actually solidified me not going to GameStop anymore.
It's made me question whether I'm going to be going back there.
Because here's the funny thing. Sony announced that they're going to be restocking PlayStation VR bundles.
Yeah.
The bundles.
Yep.
Which I'm really excited about.
Yep.
And once I get my taxes done, which I'm still waiting on my tax return, I'm probably going to use that to buy.
We should go in on one together. And we could you could sit at your house sometimes. It could be over here sometimes. It could be here sometimes. Because I don't want to spend a whole $500, but I could swing spend a $250.
Here's the thing: is that GameStop is getting an exclusive bundle that comes with a game.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I might at first, before reading that article, I was like, you know what? I might go to GameStop when they have those bundles in stock. But here's the thing. It ain't now. I don't fucking care anymore. I'm just going to go to Best Buy or buy it on Amazon or fucking wherever I can get it other than GameStop, because you know what? I don't want to go in and go, hey, I want that bundle right there. Nah, that's pre-ordered.
Yeah.
You have to buy this used bundle, though. I don't want a used bundle of a PlayStation VR. Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. I don't want a used PlayStation VR. I want a brand new one.
I don't want big guy, bro.
It's like, fuck you. I don't care. I want a new one.
Yeah. So I think that's just a big bag of dicks. You can tell me in the comments why it's not, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else also a big bag of dicks, John. Okay, so listen, I don't like to talk about politics on Rage Select. Sure. Okay. But I gotta at this point. It's actually getting to the point where I'm almost about to break that rule because fucking there's so much wonky.
Dude, it's like every fucking day there's 12 things.
I know. So for those of you who have been living under the stairs in the Dursleys' house, Donald Trump has put the not Muslim ban out there. The basically
not Muslim but totally Muslim, and not a ban but totally a ban.
Right. So that is garbage, and there are other people that are way better at going to be covering that than us. But John, I don't know if you saw this. This is the fucking feel good. This is one of the oh god, I fucking love
Blizzard
this story so much. No.
Oh, okay.
No. Who's your favorite game publisher of all time?
Remedy?
No. Who's your favorite small game publisher of all time?
Devolver Digital?
Devolver Digital. Good guys, located here in Austin, Texas. Do you know what Devolver Digital is doing?
No.
Devolver Digital has reached out to game developers in other countries or game developers who might be affected by this travel ban, and they have said, for free, if you are affected by this travel ban and you give us a copy of your game and the promo materials at GDC, we'll put your game in our booth and show it. So if you have any problems traveling to the United States because of this horse shit, Devolver Digital will take your game with your materials, with not trying to take your game or publish it or anything, but they will put it in their booth just to be like, this is horse shit, and I love it.
Yeah,
because it's putting your money where your mouth is, and I fucking love. I'm going to email those guys again and be like, come on, Devolver, you got to have some job over there. Sweep it out, Cheeto crumbs or something. I need a job, Devolver. but yeah.
No, Devolver's cool. There was also like an internal email at Blizzard where Mike Morhaime was like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit, and we already have our legal, because apparently there are employees of Blizzard in the U.S. that's families were affected by this, and they're like, yeah, we've already got our legal team on it. Yeah. And if, basically, and it was just an internal email that wasn't even supposed to go public, and then it got public, but it was actually like, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
but this is just. I mean, I think this is great because it's just like I said. It's putting your money where your mouth is. It's saying like, I disagree with this, and what are we going to do? We're going to try to help the people that we can by doing this. And it's Devolver Digital, so it gives me a chance to talk about Devolver Digital.
Devolver Digital's awesome.
They are great, and if you have not played their games, I highly recommend that you go play.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're like, I've never heard of them. I've never played any of their games. I bet you have.
I bet you have.
And
I bet you just
know
didn't. It. Because see, for John and I, when we load up a game in the Devolver Digital thing, because it was like, oh shit, I didn't even know.
Yeah, like we don't. We love Devolve. They make fun little indie games.
Oh man, they're such a great publisher. They also make movies. Like
actually, there's one thing I really like. There was a documentary thing they did. Like I forget what it was, like Indie Game Jam or something like that.
Yeah,
where basically each episode, like they actually did it was a video episode where it was about the making of an indie game in like 24 hours, and then you got the game that they made.
Nice,
as part of it. And it was actually really cool.
Nice. Next up on Hit Parade, guess what's going to be in Star Wars Battlefront 2, John?
A campaign mode?
Hell yeah, campaign mode.
About fucking time.
Well, you know what? I think it's funny that your reaction was that, because it's like, I feel like poor EA and DICE, and I don't say that like I'm not really feeling bad for EA or DICE, but it's just like from the moment that Battlefront 1 was announced, they were like, it's not going to have a single player campaign, and then it's just been like 2 years of them getting shit for not having a single player campaign. It would almost be like if people were like, Jeff, when's your new album going to drop? And I'm like, I don't have an album. I've never had an album. I don't rap anymore. I got tired.
He retired the rap e-mobile.
I got tired of busting fools out of my e-mobile, and I had to put it away. But no, Star Wars Battlefront, not only is Battlefront 2 going to have a single player campaign, but it's also going to be coming out this year. So
yeah,
I don't know. I wonder if the people who had such a huge problem with Battlefront 1, because it didn't have a single player campaign, will be mollified by this. Will be like, because I thought that what was there in the multiplayer was fucking great personally.
Yeah, no, it was.
But also they announced that they're not going to be slavish about the time period. So they are going to have stuff from Rogue One and The Force Awakens, as well as I think the just regular old stuff. Orig Tridge. I don't think no word, I guess, on whether or not there's
Tridge.
I don't know. I picked that up somewhere. It's like a fucking brain virus. No word, I think, on whether there's going to be any prequel stuff, but I doubt it.
You never know.
I don't know. All I could say is that I really enjoyed Star Wars Battlefront, and I would have enjoyed Battlefront more if it had had a campaign, so whatever. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess DICE did pretty good with the Battlefield 1 campaign. I didn't ever play it, but I heard good things about it.
I never played it, so all I played is the multiplayer here. So,
all right. Well, next up, I've actually had this story has come through my news feed a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Updates on this story have come through my news feed a bunch of times. But you know what? There's plenty of people out there who are just like, Jeff, I'm fucking sick of hearing you talk about virtual reality. And so, you know what? I've been kind of mums the word on virtual reality. But guess what? That lawsuit between Zenimax and Oculus got settled.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, this basically, as near as I can remember, what it was alleging was that Carmack was doing like prototype work for VR when he worked at Zenimax. And it was one of those real hazy gray area things where like he was probably using internal resources, but he wasn't like billing for the time or anything. And then when he left to go to Oculus, Zenimax was like, wait a minute, you can't just hang out at our company and use our resources to build a technology and then leave and take that technology to another company. Like, we own that. We own you, Carmack. We own your ass. And Carmack was like, double deuces.
Well, there was also a thing where there was like a non-compete clause, and there was like a timed non-compete clause.
Yeah.
And there was a period of time between him leaving ZeniMax and joining Oculus. But then, like, when he joined Oculus, suddenly certain things in their development picked up, and it was just, there was a whole thing where ZeniMax is claiming fucking Oculus is our technology.
I think that the subtext here that nobody actually is coming out and saying is that ZeniMax's position is that John Carmack built the Oculus, and that after he left, or even while he was in the employ of ZeniMax, he was basically feeding Palmer Luckey everything they needed to make that first Oculus prototype, and that because there was something in one of the things that I was reading about Palmer Luckey retroactively, like talking about how, oh no, I made the first one in my garage. Everybody's like, fuck you, you're not smart enough for that, Palmer, or it was Carmack the whole time. Anyway, they did settle, and it's not a very spectacular settlement. It's $500 million from Oculus to ZeniMax. And basically, they said that fine was for a breaking of an NDA by Palmer Luckey and Oculus.
It was. I think it also was tied to. Yeah, it was. They basically said they ruled that none of the technology used in Oculus was procured from ZeniMax.
Right.
Like, it was not stolen from ZeniMax, that Oculus made their own technology and ZeniMax did not have anything to do with it. And that the fine was actually due to a contract breach, or possibly, I don't remember the specifics of it either.
I had a hard time finding the specifics when I was looking for it.
It did have something to do, and I want to say it might have had something to do with the NDA John Carmack had with ZeniMax that was broken by Oculus unintentionally.
Okay.
And so they basically paid him, and then also now ZeniMax is trying to file another suit.
Oh, I didn't read
that. Force a recall on all of Oculus's products because they're still saying we don't agree with the.
Because they're going to go into appeals.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Oculus. It's funny how Oculus was kind of like first out of the gate, but man, they've been harried since they came out, like between the developers where they didn't like the fact that they wanted like platform exclusivity, Palmer Luckey and the Trump thing, just like there's been a lot, and this lawsuit, like you never hear about this shit with the Vive, like Valve just put that, or PlayStation VR, like those things are just kind of just rolling along, doing their thing, and yet Oculus is just constantly. I guess it's good that they got Facebook behind them because they can afford to take a $500 million hit, just like, whatever. Zuckerberg, write him a check.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg's like, I don't need to. I got $500 million in my pocket because that's how I roll. Zuckerberg, out.
I'd like to think that's how he actually talks.
Zuckerberg, out. Speaking of people going out, so last week we talked about how there's going to be an Avengers game from Square Enix.
Yes.
And one of the studios that we talked about that was going to be making that was, what was that, Eidos Montreal?
Yeah.
The folks who made the Deus Ex franchise. And we were all just like, yay, hooray, huzzah, woo. And now it's time to go, no, oh, boo, bad, because apparently that game is getting made at the expense of another game in the Deus Ex franchise.
Yes.
Deus Ex has now been put on indefinite hold while, why can't I remember this? Eidos Montreal, works on this new Avengers project, which kind of sucks because there were all of these nebulous reports about how Deus Ex Mankind Divided was supposed to be way longer, and then like it kind of ends on a weird cliffhanger-ish type ending that made it seem like there was going to be more to that story. And I really liked Deus Ex Mankind Divided. So as much as I like putting professional, serious goddamn talent, I wish that it would have been a thing where they would have... I mean, Square Enix is a big publisher, and they can afford to do, like, split that Oculus team and then, like, rehire... Or Oculus, split the Eidos Montreal team. I don't know why I can't keep that in my head. Split that team... hire new people to bolster both sides of that team, and then have one of them keep working on Deus Ex and have the other one work on the Avengers game. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not a businessman. I don't know how that works.
I'm really pressed here because I want nothing more than for somebody to make a professional tie-in to the Marvel game with a good developer. On the other hand, if you ask me, like, do you want that at the expense of, like, this really good franchise that's been doing very well? I would say no. I don't know. It'd be like almost like, hey, you know what? Miyazaki's going to make a new he's going to make a John Wick video game, and I'm just like, ooh, From Software, Miyazaki, John Wick video game. It's like, yes, but now there's not going to be a Bloodborne 2. Like, what the fuck, man? Come on.
Well, it's just Bloodborne 2 is going to be pushed away, but I mean that we didn't even know there was going to be a Bloodborne 2. So
right, well,
this is a little bit different in that regard. But I mean, at the same time, I'm okay with it because you and I have talked. We're not necessarily using Miyazaki as an example.
Yeah.
We don't want a developer to be trapped in a franchise to where it's like, no, the only game you can make is Deus Ex. Make another fucking Deus Ex.
Yeah.
If this is just hey, we're gonna make Deus Ex 3, it's gonna happen. There's no question about that. But we're putting it on hold so we can take a break and make something else.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I'm like, hey, cool. I'm cool with that.
I just worry because a lot of times this kind of hold, like if the Avengers game they make is very good and does well, then it could be like a Rocksteady situation where now Eidos Montreal is hooked into making Marvel games for the next 5 years, and they're not going to be able to go back to it. That's my worry. Is that the hold is not temporary, or it's temporary, but that once they show that they can make a goddamn video game, that it's going to become indefinite, right? And that series isn't going to languish. We got so many series that are languishing in obscurity that need more stuff. Fucking Castlevania, or a new Metroid game, or something that's not some bullshit 3DS bullshit. That I don't like the idea of taking the focus off, especially because
I can understand that.
I played through Deus Ex Mankind Divided like twice in a row, which I don't ever do. But so let's talk a little bit about Nintendo. There's a little bit of Nintendo news this week, or Ninty, as some people have tried desperately to call it over the years.
What?
Have you never heard that?
No.
It's terrible, right?
No.
Like, why would you ever say that? Yeah.
Stop.
So there was a report that the Nintendo Switch, there was actually a bunch of different news for the Switch, but most of it was boring. Like, do you care that there was a picture of the home screen and, there's a friends list? Like, or that the developer version has twice as much RAM as the production version. But what they did announce was that the original plan had been that there were going to be 50 companies making 80-plus games for the Nintendo Switch, and that has been, since their announcement, up to 70 companies making 100-plus games for the Switch. And that's great, because the one Achilles heel of the goddamn Wii U was that there weren't any games to play on it. Is that you had to wait 3 months between games, any game to play on it.
Yeah, I still, because again, using the Wii U as an example, they said the same thing with the Wii U at the launch. Oh man, we got like all these companies making hundreds of games. They're gonna be coming out. And they're gonna be launch games, and then they all got canceled.
Yeah,
it's so. I let's wait until shit comes out.
You know what? I don't want to jump the gun. Everybody knows that I'm not one to get overly excited ahead of time unless the name Kojima is in whatever I'm talking about. Yes, but I still think it's good because the thing that, I feel like this entire console generation has been about one thing. Where are the fucking games? And that's one of the reasons there was a report about how well the PS4 was selling this week that I just skipped. I feel like one of the reasons the PS4 keeps selling so well is because there's so many goddamn games for it. I mean, when I talk about the games that I went to GameStop to buy, I bought, Resident Evil 7, which is on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and then I bought 3 PlayStation 4 exclusives, right? Or wait, is Kingdom Hearts on the Xbox One as well?
I don't know, probably.
Anyway, I know that Tales of Berseria, or whatever the hell it is, isn't, and I know that Yakuza isn't, right?
Yeah, Yakuza's an exclusive.
So the thing is that, say what you will about the relative benefits of the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4, but at least the PlayStation 4 has a whole shitload of games. Yeah, Berseria is on the PS3 and the PS4, and then let's just check in on Kingdom Hearts, which I'm pretty sure is a PS4 exclusive. But So if the Nintendo Switch, what I'm trying to get at here is the PS4 only. So out of the 4 games that I bought at GameStop, 3 of them were PS4 exclusives. And it wasn't like there was a bunch of other Halo games sitting there that were Xbox One exclusives that I could have chose from. Those were literally the 4 big games that came out that week. So if Nintendo can do what I feel like needs to be done in this console generation, which is put out a bunch of motherfucking video games, give me a reason to hook up my Switch and use it, then they will be more successful than they were last time. Now, whether half of those games get canceled and or are shovelware garbage or ports of existing games, who can say?
You want me to bring up something about the Nintendo that really only affects people like you or me or someone who lives in Austin?
Tell me.
So a few weeks after the Switch gets released, Nintendo will be at the South by Southwest video game conference.
Mm-hmm.
So then people will be able to play the Switch there.
Okay.
But you have to pay to get in, so,
Boo.
It's no longer free.
Boo. Second. Also in Nintendo, there was a statement they put out saying that they're apologizing for the shortages of the NES Classic, but they did sell 1.5 million units of it. We apologize to our consumers and retail partners for the inconvenience caused by product shortages. Some parts required time to procure, but we are working to increase production. We also see the nostalgic interest in these products as an opportunity to draw consumers' attention to our latest game system, Nintendo Switch. Well, fuck you. I can't order a Nintendo Switch. Nintendo.
Either.
God damn it. I can't get either one of them. Quit telling me oh, man, we're out of steak, but you know what's great at this restaurant is the chicken. And you're like, oh, can I have the chicken? We're out of the chicken. Like, oh, then fuck you. What do you have? Just nothing.
Tofurkey.
Old salad. That's what we have.
We got tofurkey.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you for putting that in your apology. Fuck you for apologizing by directing my attention to another thing that I can't get my hands on because you can't manufacture enough things. Like, come on, Nintendo. You're shit. Together. Get it. Come on.
All right.
So I tell you what, though. Let's say that you're out there and that you're a person and you're just like, hey, I really think that NES games are the diggity darn. I would like to play NES games, and I would like to play them in the best possible way. Well, I tell you what, the Analog NT Mini has you covered. This is something that's kind of like a Retron or Super Retro Boy.
Yeah.
And this is basically an NES. But the difference with this one is it is $450 damn.
What?
Yes. More expensive than a PS4 and Xbox One.
Why?
Well, okay, so I think that the reason
Does it give you a hand job?
I wish could use a good hand job. No,
Does it blow you instead of you blowing the cartridges?
Okay, so here's the thing. It has let me tell you some things, and then let me tell you why I think this thing is actually $450. So it has like wireless NES controllers. It has support for every other controller, Xbox One, PS4, Wii, Classic, blah, 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 blah. It has HDMI out as well as standard RGB out in case you want to do like a CRT TV. I think that the reason this thing is $450 is because unlike some of the other ones, they are advertising that there's like, you know how you'll get a Retron 5 and it'll be like, oh, all this works great, but Crystalis runs like shit. And it's just like, oh, there's a problem with the emulation and Crystalis runs garbage, right?
Yeah.
This one is like, they all run flawlessly. They all look fantastic. They all sound fantastic. There are no bugs. There is no nothing. I think that's why they're putting the $450 price tag on this. I also think that some of it might have to do with the fact that you can't even get an NES Classic for less than $270 from eBay scalpers right now, but
fuck that. I'll just go get a Retron 5. Go get a Retron 5 as HDMI out. It's fucking awesome. Just get that.
Or you could just go buy like a $30 box to convert RGB to HDMI off of Amazon, and then just go get an NES at a flea market for $25.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that too. I'm just saying, just go get a Retron 5. It'll allow you to play more than just NES games. You'll get NES, SNES, Famicom, Super Famicom, fucking Sega Genesis. Fucking
I'm so glad that we don't have sponsored content on Rage Select because it's like, no, John, we're trying to sell this thing to people. We gotta
fuck that shit.
Fuck that guy. All right. Now, last but certainly not least, Ed, this is a sad story. This week saw the passing of the founder of Namco, Masaya Nakamura, also known as the father of Pac-Man.
Yep.
So pour one out because we lost, this isn't like I didn't know this guy. Like, wasn't hanging out with him. But, it's sad when people pass away.
Yeah.
And this guy, fucking
He's
Namco.
a legend in the industry.
Yeah. Bandai Namco publishes From Software games. So, that as well. And that is our news. We're at 30 minutes, almost exactly.
Bam!
Yeah, that's right. I skipped the one trailer for Sniper Elite, but it was pretty much just going to be a whole segment of me going, I love Sniper Elite. I love it so much.
And me going, I never played it.
I want to shoot Nazis in the balls. So with that, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to do a couple of emails. I don't know why I said it like that.
You're weird.
And we're back. John, we're back.
Yep.
Get psyched.
Because so psyched.
It's time for questions.
Oh.
Mail at rageselect.com is the email address. I got to say, I need questions, folks, is that we're not getting as many questions coming in as we used
That's
to.
okay, because we're not answering as many questions as we used to.
True. That's true. But I need need
feel free
questions.
to send...
Need questions. Sending your questions to mail at rageselect.com, and we will answer them in a brief format. So this first question comes in from Elijah, who says, greetings, Jeff and John. Don't know why it's taken me this long to send an email when I've been watching/listening since 2012. Yeah, come on, man. Send more emails. I took a glance at the games coming out this year, and of course, we have a lot of sequels. Halo Wars 2, Resident Evil 7, Mass Effect, Andromeda, Zelda, Mario, Destiny 2, etc. But I can't escape the feeling that as a gamer, I'm getting kind of bored. Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, for example, and franchises like them, regurgitate the same-ish gameplay and sometimes get worse the more they come out. It's frustrating to buy something that I already know is going to be more the same because there are too few different games to try, or games that try something new like Final Fantasy 15. Even Shadow of Mordor added a new mechanic to the game that made enemies feel worth grinding to defeat. For Honor is giving me hopes because it is something refreshing. My question is, what would it take you guys to give up on upcoming sequels to your favorite franchises if it's more of the same? P.S. Keep on raging like you were killed by an OP shotgun in Destiny, Elijah. So, okay, well, let's talk. This is just some fertile ground.
Yeah.
So I feel that, like, the level of boredom that Elijah is talking about is something that I have definitely felt in the past. It is, but I don't know that I feel it as acutely, and I think that some of that may be how long I've been playing video games.
Yeah.
Is that, like, side scrollers, right? One of the first video games that I ever really got into was Mario, right?
Yeah,
Super Mario Brothers.
Probably true for most people.
There have been a gajillion side scrollers since then that all kind of follow the same format as Super Mario Brothers. I guess to me it's kind of like the genre doesn't matter so much as the execution does.
Yeah.
Where, like, well, action movies are action movies, but
using a franchise that he talked about, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I didn't buy 5.
Yeah.
Unity, whatever it was, Assassin's Creed Unity. I didn't buy that. I was
man.
Well, no, it was just like I was so not looking forward to it because it was just like, oh well, 4 was just more of the same from
Right.
3, and 3 was more of the same from this, and it was just like 5 looks like it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's more of the same bullshit. I don't care. They already screwed the pooch with the story. Like, the thing that was keeping me to buy the game was the story.
Right.
And they screwed the pooch with 3. But I did come back for what was the most recent one? Syndicate?
Yes.
Because that looked like it was trying to do something new, and it kind of did, but at the same time, not really.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that if they were to do another Assassin's Creed, they'd really have to do something interesting to get me to buy the next Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get what he's saying in that regard. Like, there is, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, actually, when I think about it a little bit, I'll be honest, if I didn't fucking run a video game website for a living, I probably would have skipped a bunch of stuff last year. Like, if I had just been playing video games for my own damn enjoyment, I probably would have skipped Battlefield 1 even, because it's just not the sort of game that I would want to play.
Yeah.
Like, I probably would have skipped a bunch of the things that we played. In fact, it's funny, because sometimes this works out in the opposite direction, is that I was very, like, about Hitman. When they announced it. And then I don't remember, you and I were doing podcasts back then. Like, I was all pissed off that they were going to make it episodic, and I didn't like that. The way that it was starting as a full game, it was like, well, we're going to put out the first 4 episodes. No, it's going to be monthly episodic, blah, 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 blah. And I ended up just enjoying the shit out of Hitman. In fact, they put out God damn, man, they put out a whole another level for the release. I mean, well, they remixed Sapienza into another level. So there's actually now 3 different versions of Sapienza. There's the one in the campaign, there's the one with the movie set, and now there's this one where there's like a guy running for president who's vacationing and having a little rally, and there's like a stage, and like I probably would have missed out on Hitman if it hadn't been for the fact that I needed content.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe the first episode, but even the first episode when you and I played it, I was kind of like, and then when the next one came out, I'd already bought it, and so when I ended up playing it, it was like, oh, okay, no, I actually really like this. So in some cases, it could be a good thing, but I think I understand what you're saying, and I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the reason is because with the level of graphical fidelity and the things that we're expecting in video games these days, that they cost a lot more to make.
Yeah.
And I don't like to use that as just a catch-all for, excusing every bullshit thing that the industry makes. But I feel like we can look at it and say that the industry right now, the video game industry, is real scared of doing new shit. Because if they roll the dice and it doesn't work, then, I mean, there's a report in the first segment that I cut out, or Capcom's profits are just like way down this year, not including Resident Evil 7. And I'm like, well, no duh. You put out one new game this year, and it was just another fighting game. Everything else you put out was an HD remake of some other stuff.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah. But I feel like in a lot of cases, Mass Effect isn't going to change to be a turn-based strategy game because Mass Effect knows where its bread is buttered, and the safe thing is just to make another Mass Effect game.
I mean, they might do like a spin-off game that might be that, but
yeah.
I mean, but the main Mass Effect game is not going to be. It's going to be Mass Effect. There's not going to change that. And I'll even using Resident Evil as an example. I gave up on Resident Evil after 5. Like I didn't play 6. I didn't play Revelations 1 or 2. I didn't play.
See, I actually thought Revelations 1 was very good, and Revelations 2 I never really got into, but it also seemed like it was pretty good.
But I didn't play any of those because I was like, I gave up on it. I was like, this is just the same bullshit over and over again, and I'm done with it. I'm done. However, 7 got me back in. Like I'm totally on board for 7. I'm playing it and I'm liking it so far. So
Also, I mean, in that list of games that he rattled off, Zelda's in there, and I think the new Zelda is actually a perfect example of the opposite of what you're talking about, because the new Zelda looks completely different from previous Zeldas. It doesn't look like just another entry that has the same, like, oh, there's like 12 temples, and I don't know, you got to go to them, you got to get the hook shot, you got to get the boomerang again, and then use the boomerang to beat the boss in the temple where you got the boomerang. Like, it looks very different, and I like that. I like that I'm seeing something very different. So I think there's hope, but as to the actual question of what would it take for you guys to give up on upcoming sequels if they're more of the same, well, as long as I'm running Rage Select, that's not an option for me, Elijah.
Yeah, for him, it's not an option. It's just some old bullshit. Just because I've given up on some franchises already, and then sometimes I pick them back up. It just depends. I go game by game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to sit here and tell you that I don't think that the gaming industry could use more innovation, but I understand why it isn't there. I also feel not to put all of the onus on the not to put all of the blame on the publishers, and because I feel like the publishers are where this will be coming from, right? Like, developers probably want to do other weird things, but it also falls a little bit on us as gamers, because if we don't, and I'm not saying that you have to go out there and buy a bad game to support bad games, but if there's like a medium tier game that's doing something interesting, it's one of the reasons that I like to keep looking at the stuff that like Focus Interactive puts out, or Devolver Digital for that matter, is because they do seem to be doing things which could be a little bit interesting, and I like to try to give them my money when I can to reinforce that. To buy stuff like Darkest Dungeon, right, or what's the one everybody likes with the RPG where you can do it completely, Undertale, like if you find a thing that you like that seems like it's interesting, buying it is always a good way to reinforce that decision.
Yeah, I get that.
But I don't think that we're going to see a big change in that anytime soon, because the game industry is pretty spooked. Our next question comes in here from Danger Dave, and this is less of a opinion question, more of a technical question, but I get asked this question so often that it's going to be nice to just put it out there. So Danger Dave says, yo, love your shows and podcasts. Please keep them coming. My question is perhaps a boring technical one. I record audiobooks and wonder if you can enlighten me. Whenever I listen to the audio on Rage Select shows and podcasts, the audio, aside from being clear and unmuffled, is never interrupted by the sound of trucks driving by, chairs squeaking, or bodily shifting. How do you pull this off? Is it all editing or what? I've invested in a decent microphone and a pop filter, which has upped my audio game considerably, but I am thinking that my next step is some sort of acoustic baffle. Do you have any setup tips, or can you let me in on the secret of your clean sound? So far, I have only gotten gigs narrating poorly written smut, which is fun in its way, but I am hoping my stentorian elocution, I do not know what that word means. I've never heard the word stentorian before. Elocution combined with better recording quality will help me move up to bigger books and bigger checks. Better books and bigger checks. Insert dong joke here. Fondest regards, Danger Dave. All right. So people ask me this all the time. So I find it's good to do this. I have a silver bullet solution for you, Dave. It is the microphone that I am speaking into right now. It is the microphone that John is speaking into right now. This is the Shure Beta 58A Ultra Cardioid mic. This microphone will only pick up, like, it just looks like a regular old microphone, but if you imagine that, like, if you took where the top of it is, right, and you put like a softball on it, if your mouth is outside of the range of that softball, this mic ain't picking it up. Like, this is me talking directly into the mic, and now I'm going to move the mic a little bit away from my face. This is me talking a little bit away from the mic. I don't know how that's going to actually come out, but, like, one of my biggest problems whenever I have people over here to record is that I have to get them all up ins on the mic, and when they take their face away from it, then I have problems with recording. But that is the solution. That, and there is one other thing, and that is my mixer, which is a Yamaha MG102C, which you can get for about $75. And the thing about my mixer is that I just twizzle down the mid-range and twizzle up the low and the high on it, just a little tiny bit. But this mixer has compression on it, which means that when I talk really loud, that it actually brings down the threshold so that I don't end up with clipped audio, which means that I can record us talking at a very high level because I don't have to worry about us getting outside of a level where we'll be breaking our audio. This is all very technical. In any case, all that it means is that when I get done, I can essentially levelate, run the whole thing through a thing called Levelator, and then actually reduce the volume on it to a regular level, and we get a nice, clean, non-clipped sound.
Can I add some stuff to that?
Absolutely.
So what Jeff is saying, all very good and very true, and they all do. If you do it right and get the right equipment, it is going to be fucking tits.
Yeah.
You know, like your sound.
A good mic is hard to it's hard to compensate for having a good microphone.
Having said that, I'm going to go a little bit more on the let's see what we can do to help you without you having to go spend money on like a shit ton of, like, you already have a microphone, you already have a pop filter. If you do have a mixer, I don't know if he said he had a mixer or not, but if you do have a mixer of some kind, like if it's not if it's a USB mic that you're using, then this is not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But if you have a mixer, actually take the time to actually learn what all the knobs do and actually sit there and here's the big thing, and this is actually something that always I've guest on other people's podcasts, and it always gets on my nerves, and Jeff is going to laugh when I say this. Wear headphones on your fucking head when you're talking.
I never wear headphones.
Jeff doesn't.
I never wear headphones.
But
my audio setup does not require headphones.
And the reason I say wear headphones is, and it's going to sound weird. You're going to be like, oh, I don't like to hear the sound of my own voice. And you're right. When you do it for the first time, it's really weird, and you'll find yourself maybe talking a little bit slow because you're hearing yourself and you're trying to listen while at the same time talk, and you may sound weird, but after you do it long enough, you'll start to you won't even actually be hearing yourself talk. Just, because what you're doing is you're not listening for yourself. I mean, you are, because you want to set your levels, especially if you're doing something where you have more people, or if you want to set levels and things like that. But it's one of those things where you're also doing it listening for other noises as well. Like that you train your brain to listen for other noises. And then you also, if you can get good enough, you can also train, because there is going to be some editing you can do afterwards to help. Like if you're...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can go in and edit out
because
background
Rachel
noise.
does have editors.
Yeah.
So and sometimes they'll cut out the pause in between, or like if I'm sitting there, and please don't edit this out if you do normally, but if I'm sitting here going...
So that's the thing.
They'll listen to it, and if they see it, they're like, "Oh, that sounds weird." I'm going to cut that out, and then they'll cut that out, and then it'll sound just like I'm going, "Hey, all right, let's go. Like there's no heavy breathing from me going in there. But the other thing is that I might suggest looking into if it's a USB mic that you have and you don't want to go spend money on a new mic, because using what you have is always what I say. Don't try to use what you have and try to make the quality of what you have. Like, try to inch out every piece of quality of what you have before going to spend the money on the most expensive equipment or whatnot, because you can surprisingly get a lot of quality out of even the shittiest of mics.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, as a brief example, if you guys go back and listen to early loading bars, in the early days of the loading bar, Jason and I had one Rock Band microphone on a microphone stand between the two of us, and we would lean in to talk to it and then lean out. Like, it was the most rinky-dink setup you've ever seen, but you run it through enough filters in SoundForge and levelate it, and
Another thing I might suggest to do, and there are tutorials on this a lot, make a sound box, which what I mean by that is a soundproof box. It's it gets some of that foam, like sound resistant foam or whatever that, and
little eggshell, egg crate stuff.
Get like an egg crate or something like that, and and then kind of put it around your microphone so that you're talking into a box which your microphone is in, and it has like the soundproofing around it, so that the only sound that's actually getting to your microphone is you talking.
Yeah.
But like I said, because I am very much a proponent of, well, yes, getting the really good equipment, like what Jeff is saying, is definitely the end goal.
Yeah.
Because you want to get that. My philosophy is if you have equipment right now and you're maybe not able to go buy the new stuff, learn how to eke out as much quality as you can from what you have. The reason is because then when you get the really super good stuff, it's going to sound even better than it would if you just went to it, because you know all the little tricks to do to eke out just a little bit better sound out of it.
Yep. And just to add, I looked up the price of this microphone, and it's a $160 microphone.
Yeah.
I've got three of them, I think. But these things have served me. They are fucking workhorse microphones. Yeah. They do real well. Shure is a good company. But yeah, the main thing is just this super cardioid. Like, even if you find another microphone that's cheaper that does that super cardioid, like, that's the big thing, because, like, the room that we are recording Rage Select in has vaulted ceilings and a fan that's on 24 hours a day. Yeah. You never hear any of that. Go back to the first Rage cast and realize that the people that I could barely hear myself talking, and yet the background noise, because there were so many people in my house and they were all just like yelling.
I mean, and you could hear them, but they were very.
But like, I thought the cops were going to get called, and you can still make out everything that we're saying.
Yeah.
So but yeah. So good luck, Dave. Let's see. Our next question is coming in from Alexa, who says, "Hey Jeff and John. First, I'd like to say that I preferred the 2+ hour podcast. I hope that it will return, as did the puppets." Well, Alexa, I'm going to tell you it's kind of an either-or at this particular point. As for the question, I would like to hear your opinion on matchmaking in Overwatch. I find it to be all over the place. In the first month of playing, I was getting paired with low-skilled players, such as myself, against a team of good players, unlike myself. This would result in games where my team couldn't even slow down the enemy team, and matches would be over in 2 minutes. Now it's a bit better, but I still get those uneven games. Sometimes we crush, sometimes we get crushed. Is it maybe a rating thing? Will matchmaking work better when I get to a higher level and higher competitive rating? Thanks for all the shows. Keep up the good work. Greetings from Serbia, Alexa. I don't.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
I don't know either. In fact, I actually wish that.
I mean, if you're playing on the competitive, I know if you're playing in the competitive, like the league, whatever you call them.
Oh
the thing that is
ranked,
actually all ranked best. That is actually like totally, you are going to be partnered up with equal people on your rank.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't have anything to do with your character level or your player level.
Yeah.
That specifically has to do with your rank in the competitive whatever, the competitive season that's going on. Outside of it, I have no fucking clue. I always thought it was just free for all. Who cares? It partners you up randomly.
I think that matchmaking. I mean, I think that to their algorithm, matchmaking is important, but that it's hard to. that if it's a choice, like ask yourself this, Alexa, would you rather wait an additional 2.5 minutes to find a server that was staffed, that was populated specifically with people that were of your same skill level, or would you rather get into a game in 20 seconds? Because I have a feeling that it's probably going to try to prioritize people that aren't hugely higher than you as far as skill goes, but that it's also going to prioritize getting you into a game fast, because nobody wants to sit there for 20 minutes while they find the perfect group, and then you have one match, and then somebody drops out, and you've got to do matchmaking over again. I will say, though, that this brings up this is an excellent opportunity for me to get back to a concept that I like, that I wish that I would see a video game do. And in Overwatch, it would actually be super easy to do, which is, so you know how StarCraft works?
Yes.
Is that like when you play online, like as you win, you move up in tiers, and there's like a bronze tier, a silver tier, a gold tier, and then like a platinum tier, and then you play inside of that tier to go up or down. But when you lose, you reduce your rank, and you can actually get busted down to previous tiers. So if you're in gold tier and you lose enough matches, you can get busted down into silver tier. You have to work your way back up into the gold tier. I don't know why there isn't a company. Maybe it's because of the matchmaking, like what I just said. But I really wish that there was a company, that there was a multiplayer first-person shooter that was like that. So that,
well, I mean, that is kind of how their competitive thing works.
Well, but see, the thing is that you don't ever lose levels in Overwatch.
Okay,
like,
good point.
I mean, like, that's the thing is, every time I'm playing Call of Duty and I see my level go up, I'm just like, no, I'm bad. Keep me at rank 10. I didn't even fucking win that match. You just gave me a bunch of participation trophy points. Is that I wish that there was one that was like much more transparent with, if you suck at this game, then we're just going to put you in a server with a bunch of other people who suck at this game. That it's not going to be, well, you've been playing long enough that you're up to level 50. You're going to be going up against level 50 people who are all doing 360 no scopes. Yeah, and like, so I wish that there was a multiplayer. I wish that specifically that something like Overwatch was more like the StarCraft 2 tier system, where it's like, yo, man, or I could say it like, I am solid silver. I win some, I lose some, but I generally tend to stick around in the silver tier. And if I edge up into gold, I could try to compete at that level, because you get better as you play along. But that if I get busted back down to silver, I'm going to be with people who are kind of my same, the other silver people who are in that tier, so that I'm not, going up against people who are just fucking incredible.
I think in a game like Overwatch, where it's team-based, that is a little bit more difficult, because sometimes you can lose a match and it has nothing to do with how good you are. You can be the best player on the entire fucking server and you lose for that.
Yeah, that's true.
But, like a single-player game like Call of Duty or whatever, where you're not necessarily playing team, where you have like an arena type thing, that might work really well with, but I don't know how that would work with a team.
I guess you probably have to go on like your individual stats instead of your team wins or losses. Like, but then Overwatch is also kind of
it's also weird, because do you go by kill stats? Because you could play a game as Mercy and never kill anyone, and be the best Mercy on your team.
But on the other hand, they do give you medals and rankings for your contribution. So I feel like when you play as Mercy, you'll get gold medals and you'll get a bunch of like team assists and stuff. So you can probably translate that into a score.
Possibly.
They've already kind of got it. I just wish they would do it, because it's not fun for me playing on a high skill tier level or high skill tier, because I'm not that good at those games. Like, I'm not as good as the people who play them all the fucking time and they're just devoted their existence to them. I'm just not. So, it would be nice. It would be nice. All right, we got one more question before we're getting out of here. This one comes in from William. This is a very short one. William says, hello, Prophets of the Dong. Today I come to you with a very important question. What creature from fiction would you want to keep as a pet? Stay classy and awesome. Your fan from California, William. I know what I want.
What?
A Moogle.
A Moogle?
So I can throttle it every time it says Kupo. I could be like, no, bad Moogle. You say Taco Bell. I don't know. You say something else. Don't quit saying Kupo all the time. I'll take you to a speech therapist. No, I don't know. I don't
really know. I mean, I'm trying to think. It's like, do I want a Mogwai? No, because that's, if you feed it after dark. And also, there's the whole thing where, if you take it over time zones, does that affect it?
I feel like the Mogwai rules are easy. Just don't get them wet, because Gizmo was a fucking responsible ass pet.
Yeah,
it was only when they got all those other asshole Mogwai that then we got a bunch of gremlins and shit. So.
True, but also don't feed them after dark.
Yeah.
And or after 11 or what is it? Whatever the rules
after
are.
midnight.
After midnight, whatever.
You're like, what are the rules again? After 7:45? Is that what it is?
8:12, 8 hours.
I got a question. If you kiss like a Mogwai on the head, because they're so cute and adorable, does your spit count as getting them wet? Or are you going to get like a bunch of other Mogwais popping off?
These are all questions that need to be asked if that was a real thing. They even made parody of it in Gremlins 2, where a bunch of people asked all those questions and then got mauled by a gremlin.
There you go.
So
no gremlins.
No gremlins.
Okay.
Gremlins would probably not be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about like an owl from Harry Potter? Those seem like they're pretty.
I don't like birds. I mean, I don't hate birds, but I'm not like a bird person.
Let's see. What about? I'm trying to think of the best pets. What about that? What about John Wick's dog?
I got a dog, motherfucker.
All right. Well, we're going with fictional animals here. There's little cryptids, unicorn, manticore, sphinx. I mean, one of the deadly ones. Like a dragon? Like a little dragon? What about that dragon that Kitty Pryde has in Excalibur?
Lockheed?
Yeah. A little dragon. He can sit on your shoulder, and he's got a little fire, but he's also all like cutesy, and he does a little cute stuff and flies around.
You know what I would want? Lockjaw.
Lockjaw?
Lockjaw from the Inhumans.
Oh, the giant teleporting dog?
Yes.
It's like a giant
You know what's
pug?
even more fucked up?
What's that?
He's not a fucking dog.
Oh, well, that's
He's
true.
a human that when he went into the fucking Terrigen Mist, that's what he came out as.
So your dream fiction pet would be a man trapped in a giant dog's body with a tuning fork coming out of its head.
Apparently he likes hugs though, so I'm good with that.
Okay.
He's also giant, it's fucking Lockjaw, man. He's fucking badass.
You realize that there is an ordinance about picking up the poop of your animals, right?
Yeah, no, I pick up my animals' poops. He could teleport somewhere.
But then you're not picking it up.
Teleport somewhere not anywhere near my neighborhood and take a poop and then come back.
Well,
also, travel plans would be easier.
Sure.
Man, we need to go. Shit. We need to go to Houston for some reason. That's a 3-hour drive. Lockjaw, just teleport us right there. That's my answer. Lockjaw. Motherfucker, Lockjaw.
I think your imagination is broken. Houston, Paris, the moon.
I'm just saying. Example.
Negative zone.
I'm just saying. Motherfucker, Lockjaw.
Okay. That's your final answer.
That's my final answer.
That's your final answer. All right. Well, you know what? That is maybe just slightly shorter, but you know what? That's right about the time that I was looking for. So I'm not going to belabor the point anymore, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. This has been the second hour-long podcast that we've done. These things really move. Like, they really do help me out. I'm sorry to the people who like the longer ones, but god damn, is this like faster, easier?
I like not going home at 11 p.m. at night.
I feel like I have more energy on them because I don't have to like save myself. I feel like we're not tripping up against like boring stories that nobody has anything to say. Like, we just were like bing, bang, boom, and we're done. So we're gonna stick with this format for a little while. If everybody stops listening, then who knows. But I would almost say my thinking on this is that I'd rather have everybody out there like, more, I want more, rather than like, dude, fuck this podcast, this is too long, and turning it off.
Shut up, we don't need any more.
We don't need more. Also, next week I'm gonna try my damnedest, John, because I was gonna do it this week, but I forgot. Next week, I would like to bring the people of Rage Select a review, but I'm not reviewing a game or a movie, even though The Arrival is totally out on VOD, and that's a great movie. You guys should all go watch it. I need to try out one of them naked quesalupas or whatever. The naked
shit.
quesatrapo or quesaburger or whatever it is at Taco Bell. So next week I'm going to be bringing everybody a review of the naked Chusacrappa from Taco Bell.
Dude,
what's that?
If I'm recording with you next week, when you pick me up from work, we should totally
go to Taco Bell,
and then you could eat it before we do the podcast.
Right before we can start out.
And then you could give your thoughts.
Okay, yeah,
fucking magic.
It's a review of food. No one's ever thought of this on the internet before.
Actually, Kotaku has their snack taco.
Fuck you, Snack Taku. Is there a Snack Taku in Action subreddit that's all about Like Snackgate? It's about ethics in snack gaming journal and snack journalism? Oh my God. I have to stop.
On that note,
this is getting bad. mail@ragselect.com is the email address. I don't know how I'm going to wait a week to taste it, but thanks everybody and good night.